Once upon a time, there was a young man named Jake who had everything going for him. He had a loving family, supportive friends, and a promising career in finance. However, Jake had a secret. He was struggling with addiction. It all started innocently enough. Jake was at a party with some friends when someone offered him a pill. Curiosity got the best of him, and he decided to try it. For a while, it was just a fun thing to do on the weekends. But before he knew it, he was using every day. At first, Jake didn't think he had a problem. He was still able to function at work and maintain his relationships. But soon, he started to notice the toll his addiction was taking on his life. He was constantly tired, irritable, and moody. He was neglecting his responsibilities and losing interest in the things he used to enjoy. Despite these warning signs, Jake was in denial about his addiction. He told himself that he could quit anytime he wanted, but the truth was, he didn't want to. He enjoyed the way the drugs made him feel, and he was afraid of what life would be like without them. One day, Jake's boss called him into his office. He had been making careless mistakes at work, and it was starting to affect the company's bottom line. Jake was given an ultimatum: either get his act together or lose his job. This was the wake-up call Jake needed. He realized that he couldn't keep living like this, and he needed to seek help. He mustered up the courage to confide in his best friend, who encouraged him to talk to a professional. Jake was hesitant at first, but he eventually made an appointment with a therapist who specialized in addiction. During their first meeting, Jake was nervous and fidgety. He felt ashamed of his addiction and was afraid of being judged. The therapist, however, was kind and understanding. She listened to Jake's story without judgment and helped him understand the nature of addiction. She explained how the brain chemistry changes with substance abuse and how it can become a disease. Jake was relieved to finally have someone to talk to about his addiction. He felt understood and validated. Together, they came up with a treatment plan that included therapy and medication-assisted treatment. Jake's journey to recovery was not easy. He faced many challenges along the way, including withdrawal symptoms, cravings, and setbacks. He had to learn how to manage his emotions without using drugs and how to cope with triggers and stressors. Jake's therapist encouraged him to join a support group, which he was initially reluctant to do. He didn't want to be around other addicts and thought he could do it on his own. But eventually, he realized that he needed the support of others who understood what he was going through. Through the support group, Jake met other people in recovery who shared their stories and offered encouragement. He learned from their experiences and gained a sense of community that he had been missing. As time went on, Jake started to notice a positive shift in his life. He found that he had more energy, was more present with his friends and family, and was more motivated at work. He began to rediscover his passions, such as playing guitar and hiking. Jake had setbacks along the way, including a relapse. But he was determined to get back on track and not let his addiction define him. He leaned on his support system and used the tools he had learned in therapy to overcome his cravings and triggers. Eventually, Jake completed his treatment program and was able to maintain his sobriety on his own. He felt proud of himself for what he had accomplished and wanted to use his experience to help others. Jake started volunteering at a local treatment center, speaking to others in recovery and offering support and guidance. He became an advocate for addiction awareness, sharing his story with others and spreading the message that recovery is possible. Years went by, and Jake continued to live a fulfilling life in sobriety. He had a successful career, a loving family, and strong friendships. He knew that his addiction would always be a part of his story, but he didn't let it define him. He was proud of who he had become and the resilience he had shown in overcoming his addiction. Jake's journey was not an easy one, but it was one of courage, perseverance, and hope. He learned that it was okay to ask for help and that recovery was possible with the right support. He hoped that his story would inspire others to seek help and overcome their own struggles with addiction. Looking back on his journey, Jake knew that it was the small steps that made the biggest difference. He realized that it was important to take it one day at a time and not get too caught up in the future. He also learned that recovery was not a destination but a lifelong journey. Jake was grateful for the support he had received and knew that he could not have done it alone. He hoped that others struggling with addiction would reach out for help and not give up on themselves. He knew that recovery was possible, and he was living proof of that. In the end, Jake's story was one of hope and resilience. It showed that even in the darkest of times, there is always a way out. It was a reminder that we are all capable of change and that with the right mindset and support, anything is possible.